Welcome, everybody. This is Beer Guys Radio. Happy to be here, y'all. Thanks for joining us. We're going to get right into it. It's a hot one today. I didn't even put product in my hair. So my hair is just all
So hot.
out there. No product
I'm
in my
still
hair.
amused that they've got that industry has got all of us calling hair stuff product. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
such
I
a
don't say. Well,
bizarre
I've
thing.
got. So what I use, I believe it's called a paste. And I used to
Mm.
use gel, but I don't like I want the hold, Brian, but I don't want to be crunchy and I don't want to be shiny. So you got to get the right thing to make it do that. You got to get the right
Call
product.
it sloppy from now on. No more product.
Yeah,
It's now sloppy. Yeah,
sloppy.
so I got a little sloppy in my hair.
Start that as the new trend there. So,
Might
all
as
right,
well.
y'all. We are going to jump up into it. If you have a comment, suggestion, criticism, feel free to put it in the chat. Let us know what you're drinking. We'd love to hear about it. So, here we go. Welcome, everybody, to the Beer Guys Radio Show. Thanks for joining us. We're happy to be here, and we're happy to have you with us. I am Tim Dennis. Brian Hewitt, how you doing?
I am not bad, Tim. Not bad at all. How's it going, Tim?
I'm making it okay. It's a hot day. Work was annoying today. Those days,
Yes.
I think for you too, you had a little annoyance at the job.
I had some issues, but yes.
But someone just tried to call me from work a little bit ago. I just ignored it, went on with my life here. So sitting
Fabulous.
down about to crack a beer. So Nate, how are you doing, sir?
Also, a very hot day.
Yeah,
I am in your neck of the woods, but unlike the two of you, I did not have an annoying work day, so
that's good.
it was
That's
it was
good.
decent today.
Okay. Well, we're going to get right into it here. It's been a busy week. We had a good time this past weekend. The whole squad got
Mhm.
together, which really seems tough to do these days. But
Yeah.
me, Brian, Nate, Smalls was with us, and we went to Monday Night Brewing's 13th anniversary. Tie 13 on, and it was interesting. Just a day or two after we went to that, Facebook gave me a reminder from their fourth anniversary,
Oh,
Oh
and
wow.
I think, did we make the first anniversary, Brian? Have we been to, I think I missed one. Not one as in the first, but one out of the last 13. But for the most part, we've been to their anniversary parties.
I've been to a lot of them. I
Yeah.
don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, I know I was there before. I was there when they when Peter was giving a talk at the
Uh-huh.
garage before it was even open, where it was basically like a bit of a concrete and a bit of dirt here and there. So been a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, been to a lot
Well,
of
I
them.
mean, we've been there since before they even the garage was even a concept.
Yeah,
I
it's
remember
true.
going to their original location where the building was half empty because they just had a couple fermenters in there, and
mhm.
they filled that up. They've opened the garage. They've opened Birmingham, Nashville, and somewhere in Virginia, I think Richmond or Charlotte or one of those. But
Charlotte, I think
Yeah.
so. Yeah.
yeah, but cheers Monday night. Congrats on your success. Congrats on the growth. They make tasty beers. Stouts, I really like their stouts. And they did
Tie 13 was
Thai
this one.
13
Yeah.
was a stout this year. I know when they first started doing the Thai beers, like Thai 1 on, Thai 3 on, Thai 4 on, that the premise was 4 malts, 4 hops. 5 malts, 5 hops. But I think they said they got around 5, and they're like, all right, we're not gonna be
Yeah.
able to keep doing this. We're gonna run out. So they changed that up. But the stout that they did was really good. Nice barrel aged stout. Brian, what was your favorite beer there?
I that's a good question. I think I probably like the Tie 13 on the most. I'm just thinking back through it all. You know what? They did a line beer. You know what? My favorite beer was the line beer. They handed you a cold beer when you walked in, and I got the
Okay.
404 lager. And just the process of getting in, it's like, you know what? Here's a beer right now.
You
We're
need a
not gonna
beer.
make you wait.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, you paid, you did the whole thing, you got here, it's hot, have a beer. And I love that. I think that's great. And I get a lot of respect for them implementing the line beer. So you don't see that very often, but it's
You don't.
smart.
Back in
Yeah.
the day, they used to do those when there was more lines. They'd come around with a pitcher or
Mhm.
something, give you a little bit of drink. But Nate, what was your favorite?
Honestly, I really like their Thai series, when they do an anniversary this year, but they also this year had an anniversary IPA that was like a quad hopped double IPA or something. And right when I brought it to my lips, it smelled like those old hot putt releases. So Monday night was it traditionally had their Hop Hut, which they would do like specialty IPA releases, and then had some really crazy concepts. Like one of them was like a white chocolate um, peanut butter one that we all really liked, or like it was white chocolate mocha. That's the
White
one that we
chocolate
all liked.
mocha.
The white
Which
chocolate
sounds
mocha.
like a
And
terrible idea for an IPA, but it worked.
it worked.
Glorious.
And this beer, this anniversary IPA that they had on Saturday, just reminded me of that whole experience. It just super hazy, floral, just everything I liked about those kinds of beers, and I really like that one.
I believe you're talking about Roses Are Free.
That's correct. Yep.
Roses are free. No charge. No charge for the roses.
Yep.
Tim, what was your favorite beer?
Thai 13. Yeah, that was my favorite there. I tried. So they're doing spirits now. So they had some cocktails there. And they now do a yacht water, which I guess is tequila, I think. Is because you
I
got
think so,
ranch
yeah.
water, and which I think is vodka. Is that right? Is
I
that
think you're flipping them. I think yacht water's vodka and ranch water's tequila.
Yeah,
I'm
ranch
almost
is
sure the
ranch is
yacht-
definitely tequila. But I don't know
Okay.
about yacht water. That's a new concept
I
to
don't
me.
know. Nate, can you do us some Googling for I think it's under the Sneaky Pete brand, isn't it? Their yacht water. But
Already
anyhow,
there.
that was light, very light if you're just looking for something a little refreshing. I'm not totally on board with the new so and so waters trend. If I'm going to go that light, I don't need alcohol at all, really. So, and I say that because before someone says I'm being contradictory with NA beer, sometimes you want that taste of beer. But with some of these slash water things, it really just tastes like a flavored sparkling water or a flavored seltzer or something. So you're not really getting that anyhow.
So they've got two offerings. Both of them utilize Reposado Kilo.
Okay, I
Okay, so
thought
they're
I
both
remember that
tequila.
there.
Okay.
So all
I
right.
wasn't sure if yacht water was just kind of a riff off of ranch water and just kind of a different twist on it with the same concept. So it sounds like that's the case.
So I
Mhm.
think he's saying that the yacht water has two. They have a yacht water and then a jalapeno yacht water, and both of those use tequila. I don't think he's saying that ranch water and that uses it. So yeah, but according to Google's Gemini, it is Blanco tequila, lime juice, and Topo Chico is a ranch water.
Sounds accurate.
So yeah, so there we
The
go.
ones I've
All
had
right.
have been good. It's not typically something I would, it's not the first thing I would think of to reach for, but whenever I've had them, I'm like, that's nice. It's actually really refreshing.
The mysteries of life have been solved. I knew we could do it. Guys, let's talk about our beers of the week. Nate, we're gonna we never let you go first, man. What's your
thank you.
beer or beers of the week?
So in continuing with a personal thing that I've been doing, which is Seltzer for Summer. Today in my glass, I've got a beer from our friends at Goodward Brewing over in Duluth, Georgia. The beer is Stranger Angels. It's a barrel-aged imperial stout, and it's a collaboration with another one of our brewery friends from Orpheus Brewing Company. And this is a little bit of a sad crack for me because I only had one of them, and Orpheus is no longer. But so far, I've been really enjoying it. It's an 11% stout, so it is very hot and very boozy. But we're gonna have a good time with it.
Good stuff, man. Good stuff.
Nice.
Brian, how about you, man? What's on the list for today?
So I started things off with something super refreshing because it is still summer. I got into a spaghetti, which is Miller High Life with a shot of Aperol in it. So I drank that. Love that. And if you haven't tried that, it may sound silly or bad, but it's fantastic. Drink off a little of the Miller High Life, pour in a shot of Aperol. It's beautiful. It's like shandy-ish, sort of, but yeah, classy shandy. I don't know if that's possible with the Miller High Life. I am now drinking a Martin House Best Made Sour Pickle Beer, which is a Goza with pickle juice. And oh my God, it's like drinking carbonated pickle juice. It's
Okay. Is
it's
that a good
pretty-
thing in your opinion, Brian?
I don't hate it. It's a little stronger. I don't know what I was expecting. I've been looking forward to trying it, but I don't know. I think I'll be able to finish it. It's a lot though. It really is a lot. I like it. I really
Okay.
like it. I think this might be something I would ordinarily maybe split with somebody, and it's only a 12-ounce can, but
You
I'm
cut it down
happy.
with some ranch water if you have.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, it's not a bad idea at all. Or just make a
Pickleback
margarita
it.
out of it or something. Pickleback, yes.
Yeah.
Shot of whiskey and then some of this. Nice. And then I'm going to follow that up eventually here with a Inner Voice Supreme Dream, which is a New England DIPA It's brewed with oats and wheat and dry hop with Nelson Sauvin, Rawaka, Citra Simcoe, and Simcoe Cryo. So that's going to be a good one. And yeah, that's
Okay.
about it for me. How about you,
Good
Tim?
stuff. So I'm also going with one of the creative brews from Martin House. I have their Grape Ape. Again, shout out to our friend Seth from Houston who came through and brought us a bunch of beers. And this is a grape sour. And I've just poured it recently. The head disappeared almost instantly. Like I just poured it straight into the glass and it didn't even really foam up. So there was, nearly no head to that. And there is a little note of stank on it there. Just a little note of stank. And I think that sometimes, with these wild fermentations, you can get that. Underneath it, it is like a alcoholic grape Kool-Aid, pretty much. So I'll see if I can finish this. I may have to do a swap out on this.
I did get a hint of a little stankiness, a little something interesting and unusual
When
when I first
in the ferment there.
Yeah, when I first poured the sour pickle beer, but I mean, I like all the flavors here, and I do enjoy drinking pickle juice directly from a jar. So this is not. It's a lot. Like when I drink pickle juice from a jar, I'm usually taking like a shot of it or
Taking a little sip.
hit
Yeah,
of it. I'm
right.
usually not drinking it by the 12-ounce.
12 ounces.
Yeah, so that's something.
Because I'm like you, Brian. If you got some good dill pickle juice, I'll take a shot of that. It's tasty, but
yeah.
Man, I believe I'd be pretty puckered up if I tried to do like a 12-ounce pour of that or something. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. You guys were talking before we got on air. We've been talking about cocktails on and off, and I know a few weeks ago you guys shared about adding saline to cocktails, and
Yes.
that's we actually commented at Monday night. All the cocktails had the right flavors there. None of them tasted bad, but a little dull. Maybe a little flat. And we were talking there that maybe just a little saline to open it up. Because Nate, one of the cocktails that you got had a wedge of lime on the glass. And when you squeeze that lime in it, that acidity really did open everything else up there.
Yep.
So, but you guys were talking about soy sauce. Brian, where did you see the mention of soy sauce? Because I was going to comment. Nate was talking about no way I haven't. But if you did something like a Bloody Mary or like a savory cocktail like that, something like that, you could work a little soy sauce in. I don't think you'd want to get it in there enough to where you're like, oh, this is soy sauce, but I believe it could come to the party.
Yeah, that was Punch Drink, I believe, is the website that does it. I wind up on there a lot. They're always talking about different cocktails. And I think they're talking about it's trendy now to blend up cocktails where soy sauce is a featured ingredient in it. But my thought is if you're going to put saline in something, it's going to add some body. It's going to add some, enhance some flavor, open things up a little bit. You could probably substitute the same amount of soy sauce in the right cocktail and get something that's even more complex and more interesting.
So
like
was
a hint of something.
This was your idea, the soy sauce? This wasn't a suggestion it was something you thought of?
No. The drop part is I didn't read the whole article. They may be talking about it.
Gotcha,
I think that they were, adding it as a drop was something I was thinking of, having not read the article. They may go into that, and I wouldn't be surprised if other people have done it. So I'm not claiming I invented it, but I did think of it without reading that specifically.
Gotcha.
I think that they are blending up cocktails that involve more than just a drop of it, probably a little bit more. Maybe they rinse a glass with it before they build the cocktail. I don't know. But
all right,
I'm just thinking like, hey, if you're putting saline in already, soy sauce is interesting and salty. I'm like, maybe that would do the trick. Maybe you'd get something really interesting out of that. So I'm definitely going to try it sometime soon. I make a few cocktails here and there. So yeah.
So just from a culinary perspective, there are definitely some places where salt is appropriate and soy sauce would most definitely not be appropriate.
True.
So I mean, you've got the soy sauce definitely has that saltiness that you want, but it's bringing a lot more to the table too.
Umami and other stuff is the other stuff that's in there.
There could be some things that
other stuff.
There could, you know what? I'd try. Let's try one in the margarita. I'm thinking that salty, sweet. That you might be able to get it in a small amount. Call it a dirty marg or something like that. I don't know. I'd try it. Put a couple olives in there, a dash of soy sauce.
I may throw a drop or two in a Black Russian just to see what happens there, out of curiosity.
That's
I
insane, but you do you, Brian. No one can stop you from doing you.
I do
That
those
is for
just
sure.
because the White Russian, I can avoid the lactose in it by going with the
Mhm.
Black Russian. So,
Okay.
and
Fair
I'm
enough.
always
Fair
looking
enough.
for interesting ways to bring out more out of it. I've started putting stuff in it, like I've got a cafe amaro that I put a little bit in there to kind of add some herbal stuff, like depth to the coffee. So I've been messing around with that too, here
Okay.
and there. Yeah.
Got you.
So
Brian,
since you brought it up, Brian, I would say add it to a Black Manhattan.
Oh, Black Manhattan. That's a good. Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Curious. You guys let me know how all that works out for you. I'm curious to
Sounds
see
good.
how it goes. Good
Well, I'll
stuff.
have really high blood pressure by the end of this.
Yeah. Where are you
for
getting?
that.
So I've cut down. I'm not eating as much sodium, but I did get like 4,000 milligrams in a couple of cocktails that I had.
I'm going through.
G-Dog, I don't understand.
I'm
Just
going
doesn't
through one
make
of
any
them,
sense.
one of those fun shakers of soy sauce a week, man. Just in my cocktails.
Yeah. Yeah. Good stuff. Brian, excuse me, man. How rude of me. I forgot to ask. Do you have a fragrance today, Brian? Do you have a scent of the day?
I don't even want to tell you because I know what you're going to say about it. But
What?
I am wearing Creed Aventus again.
Oh my
And
God.
here's the thing. I've worn it a lot. I have a bunch of other stuff to. I like the aroma of it. I seriously
Fair.
sprayed it on myself fairly heavily today so I could sit in a cloud of it while I worked. I tell you, I enjoyed the heck out of it. Now I may get tired of it because I've only had it for a short period of time, but I'm really liking it now. And I know, I've heard about it. Like it's the kind of, I don't know,
Your basic bro.
the
So
basic bro
for those
move,
that
but
have
I don't care.
no idea what we're talking about, for guys that get into quote into fragrance, Aventus is like one that would be your first Grail fragrance, kind of. That's one that guys want to go for. It's expensive. If you buy it at retail, then 100 milliliter bottle it's seriously a $500 bottle of
Yeah,
cologne,
something like that.
495. Now, that being said, it is available on these discounter websites. Most people are not going to pay retail price for this cologne, for this fragrance. And so it can be had for about $270, which again, we're talking nearly $300 for 100 milliliter bottle of cologne. So it's still a very expensive cologne, even if you get it at half price.
I did not pay that much for it. I found
Yeah.
an incredible deal and picked it up.
That
And,
Costco hookup, right?
yeah, that's right. I really did. I'm glad you found that because I saw that and
Yeah.
I thought about it. I'm like, I got it because I knew what it smelled like. And I gotta get this. So it was
It's
considerably
nice.
less
It's
than
nice.
that.
So, Brian, what notes are in Creed Aventus?
So I know a lot of people talk about, and you especially talk about the pineapple, and I definitely smell that when I'm looking for it. But today it was just like all this incredibly strong, aggressive, and like also kind of well mixed citruses, like bergamot citrus, like little underlying bits of patchouli. I'm not really good at like isolating all the things out. There's a lot going on there, but my nose really was like queuing in on the really incredible citrus aromas that I get off the top of it. But yeah, there's a patchouli, there's uh pineapple in there as well, and I like all of it. It smells aggressive and expensive, which is
Okay.
I think what I've determined the kind of the overall feel of it is, and I'm down with it. I enjoyed it. It helped get me through the day today, Tim.
Okay.
So
That's good. A
yeah.
good fragrance can do that for you. Brian, just totally out of coincidence, I'm also wearing a Creed fragrance today, but I'm wearing their green Irish tweed. And this one is, I don't think I love this on me. There's nothing wrong with the fragrance. To me, it does smell refined, sophisticated. There's a rumor that this is one of the two favorite fragrances of King Charles. So
Oh.
very, very, very regal. And it's got a citrusy note, lemony, pepperminty. There's some musk in there. It's mentioned that there's ambergris in there, which is derived from whales, from the digestive tract of whales, and that's
It's
said to
whale
be,
yak.
yeah, it's said to be sweet and musky, kind of a sweet animalic musky scent. And they say when it's fresh, before it's, I guess, cured, it's quite unpleasant and fecal is the description they
Oh.
give for it. So, and in today's fragrances, a lot of places actually use a synthetic called ambroxan instead of actual ambergris.
Oh, is that
So,
what that is? I see that, and I'm
yeah,
like, I
yeah,
don't know what that
yeah,
is. It's like it's probably
yeah.
toxic. I have no idea.
Right. But this is another one. If you buy it at retail, it's $470 for a 100
Oof.
milliliter bottle. But this one you can get for about 220, 230 in 100 mil. They come in much smaller bottles, but just throwing that out there is kind of an example of the price points on these things, because some of them get pretty crazy in the and I will throw out there, I'm not out buying a bunch of even $230 bottles of cologne. I buy samplers of like 10
Yeah.
milliliters of these things, so I can check out all these fancy ones and not drop $300 or $500 on 15 bottles of cologne. But Brian, he's probably going to stock up. He's probably going to Costco. Did you have to buy 10 bottles of it to get it
No,
from
no,
Costco?
seriously, it was just like they had a Tom Ford that I really wanted, was at Oud Wood, which I need to revisit. I did
I like that.
wear
That's
that a
nice
couple
too.
weeks
Yeah.
ago,
Yeah.
during the show as a mix of a bunch of other silly things. I'm gonna
Right.
get into some other stuff, but seriously, one bottle, and I had a membership, and they would ship it right to me. I'm like,
Mhm.
man, you cannot pass up the price. But it was a kind of a one shot deal, so that's kind of what I do. I'm aware of stuff that I'm interested in, and when I see a good deal on, I'm like, all right, let's give that a shot. Not gonna pay the silly retail, It's just
If you're
it's
saving money, it's not spending, it's saving,
exactly.
Brian.
I'm saving money.
Saving
Yeah,
money,
I'm
saving money.
investing in myself, Tim.
That's right. You got to do it. You got to do it. So, well, Brian, moving right along back into beer talk. I was trying to think of how to like a pairing of fragrances and beer, and I just don't think you should really do that. I mean, they're just contradictory. I don't think I can make that tie together there with that. But moving along to more beer news, there's a craft beer Hall of Fame either coming or I think launched now. I'm just not sure if it's populated with the inductees yet.
That is correct. Marty Knackle, a beer writer, and I hope I got his name right. Marty Knackle. He's a beer writer, a judge, an educator, and he has announced plans for the American Craft Beer Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame will recognize people who have helped make craft beer, the industry, what it is, like brewery owners, brewers, writers, educators, and the like, as well as spotlight, quote, historical perspectives on the industry, unquote, and then and also key events that help form the industry. The initial plans for the Hall of Fame do not include a physical location. It will be entirely online. The first round of inductees into the Hall of Fame will be announced sometime this fall, and there will be a lot of familiar names involved with the Hall of Fame here. The website already has a really impressive list of the board of advisors. It's very long. I haven't counted all the people, but they've got they also have I think it's 4 or 5 like actual board members on top of it. So a lot of people involved, a huge roster of people. And many of them we know.
Yeah, that's a lot of names that we know involved with this, people who know what they're talking about too. So I'm curious to see how this one develops. See who gets into the Hall of Fame. I went to the website today, excited to see who was in the Hall of Fame, but again, it's just kind of the structure of the website and what is coming more than, the inductees weren't on there yet. So,
Yeah, they're working on that sometime this fall. Yeah, so we've got
okay.
summer's still here, Tim. That's fall.
It's not over
I get that.
yet.
Not over yet.
Not
Gotta keep
over
pointing that out.
yet. Well, Brian, something that could impact our beer. Apparently, there's been a warning sent out to brewers that save your CO2.
Yeah. So according to the Brewers Association, there may be another CO2 shortage coming soon, and it may hit the Southeast particularly hard. The supply of CO2 has been tight ever since the pandemic. We had some shortages during that time. These days, the demand for CO2 is roughly equal to supply, which sounds fine, but it becomes a problem when manufacturers go offline to perform maintenance, and they kind of have to do that. And guess what? Several major manufacturers of CO2 have announced plans to go offline to do maintenance sometime, I think, this year. 2 of the facilities going offline are located in Virginia and Georgia. So that's why the Southeast, kind of the South in general, may be hit particularly hard. The demand for CO2 is projected to grow faster than the supply in coming years. We're looking at about 2% growth in demand every year for the next 5 years. That's what they're projecting. So the CO2 supply is likely to be an ongoing issue for the foreseeable future. So it really would pay now to consider ways of being more economical with your CO2, whether it's reclaimed use or ways that you can generate your own, that sort of thing. So they're letting you know now, because if enough people take action now, they can avoid an actual shortage, but it's hard to say. So
Haven't
that's
they
where
been
we're at.
talking a while? Aren't we running out of helium and there's a
Mhm.
CO2 shortage? Just all of these gases.
Yeah, they've been talking about this for a while. I don't remember the exact thing. I know that there was, I think some of the CO2 was actually a byproduct of making fertilizers or something like that. I don't
Okay.
recall exactly why everything became a problem. I think during the pandemic, it was purely because people were not in the facilities making it stuff. They were staying home initially. So that created a backlog, a shortage of people just not working, and yeah, the stuff not getting produced. So and then it not making it to trucks, and that slowed down, it's what is it? It's like dominoes falling, or it builds
Yeah.
up into a
Domino
critical
effect.
mass and creates problems. So yeah.
We really don't think much about all it takes to get any product to us. Everything that's involved along the way, even from something like a loaf of bread. There's farmers. I mean, of course, it starts with farmers growing the
Yep.
grain, and you've got the bakeries, you got distribution, all that. And I was kind of given an example of that. We were a few years ago. We had a bad storm that shut us down for about a week, and I mean, we were running out of stuff. It doesn't. We're not that far from. We're a very on demand society. So a
Yes.
week of going without things, because I kind of scoffed when there's like a storm is coming. So of course the stores sell out of bread and milk and eggs, and I guess everybody's just living off French toast during the apocalypse, apparently. But when you're without, trucks can't run for a week, you run out of stuff. There's not a huge stock in the store there. So
And
it
a lot of this is intentional. They're like the optimization of the whole supply chain
sure,
is to not keep too much stuff on hand. So with the idea that you've got a constant flow and things don't back up, but the minute any part of it slows down, you run into shortages everywhere. So the
absolutely,
optimization, the lack of redundancy creates real problems the minute there's a problem. So yeah, it's
yeah. Any
kind of the
any
nature of the
industry
beast.
with production, when they get big enough to when they get to that size, it's all about efficiency. You're looking at Six Sigma, lean manufacturing, all of that. It's I forget the exact term, but essentially you want to have a minimum amount of inventory. There's Kanban and
Oh
Kaizen, all
yeah.
these manufacturing principles with this stuff. But that's a great idea, fantastic idea, until there's a hiccup there.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's when it
Interesting
fails.
stuff.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff. Well, Brian, more closures, man. We just see them all the time. We had another one in Georgia this week announced. Hickstown Brewing, said that
Mhm.
they're going to be closing, and we've got, as we mentioned, our friends there at Eventide. This is going to be their last weekend
Oh
in
yeah.
business, but a big one here. Not total bad news, but J. Wakefield Brewing is closing their tap room in the Wynwood neighborhood of Miami, but they seem to indicate that they may be back.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, that's the thing. They're saying that they have a quote ever changing landscape in the Woodwood neighborhood that makes it presents challenges that they can't navigate effectively. So it's very interestingly worded. I don't know exactly what's happening in that neighborhood. I don't know Wynwood. I hear about it. I hear it's a great place, but so yes, it's closing. But they are going to continue brewing beer, and they're going to continue being active in local and state events. So that it's just a tap room that's closing. So there will be a facility brewing beer. I don't know how they're set up exactly. I did not drill into that, but they are already working on finding a new location for a tap room. And you've got some time. If you hear about this, you're like, oh no, they're closing. I need to get there. You got until October 26th and 27th. That's the weekend, the last weekend at the current tap room. So you've got some time, and I think that the way it's looking, they are trying to make it so there's a minimal amount of time where their tap room offerings are completely offline. But I hear it's a cool place. I've heard really good things about it, and I
Good
kind of
beer.
wish I had made it
I've
down there.
enjoyed their
Yeah,
beer.
Yeah, good beer. Just the facility itself, and I've heard really good things about Wynwood. Need to make it down there at some point in time.
Did
but
you never go there in the cigar days? I figured that would be a place you made it to.
I don't. So I don't think it was on my radar. I haven't been to Miami in a long time, honestly.
Okay.
And I didn't know about Wynwood if it was a thing the last time I was there. So I did not go. I knew about Calle Ocho. So I walked up and down Calle Ocho,
Okay.
and I went into all
Yeah.
the cigar factories and smoked cigars and talked to people. That was a great time. I would definitely go there now if I made it down to that area. But yeah, just a matter
I've
of
never
getting
been
down
to Miami. I've never been down there to SoFla to check it out. Tampa's as far as I've gone south in Florida.
Yeah, it's I haven't been to Tampa in a while. Like last time I was in Tampa was with you, I think.
Hunapoo for
the
Hunapoo,
thing. Yeah,
the Tampa Beer Week and Hunapoo's Day, huh? Nate, you ever been
that's
down
right.
for those?
I've never been in Florida south of Tampa, so I haven't even been to Ybor City. Definitely never been to Miami. Would like to go,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
Beer
Fun
Guys
time. Fun
Radio
times,
road
man.
trip.
Yeah, we should do that.
You got to stay them open down to South Florida. You know, it's a long haul down there to South Florida. You don't think about
Yeah.
it. Florida's close. South Florida is not.
It's like I think it's like the distance. It'd be like us driving to Pennsylvania, driving down
Yeah,
there, right? I mean,
probably,
it's
probably.
considerably far. That's a long peninsula.
We can almost
that
make
thing.
it to the New England area for IPAs. I think we may be better suited going that way if we're going to do that
Possibly.
kind of travel. Yeah,
be less hot.
that's for
Well,
sure. That's for sure.
And we do need to get back up to Asheville, and that's closer. We can do that in like
Yeah,
4 hours, I
we
think,
can do
from
that.
here. So
We can do that.
That's a bit easier.
Absolutely. Well, guys, let's give a shout out to our awesome sponsors. First, I want to thank our friends at Terrapin Brewery Atlanta, right there at Truist Park. Terrapin Tap Room's got a lot of great beers on tap, always something new. And as always, they are the sort of exploratory lab for Terrapin Brewing Company. So new stuff that comes on tap before it goes out into the larger distribution is going to be there in the tap room there. Again, great for a Braves game or just for a Saturday hanging out. You can go check out. There's a lot of great stuff there at Truist Park, a lot of stuff at the Battery. So go check out Terrapin, get something to drink there. Check out what's new on tap. Grab a little bit of Fox Brothers Barbecue. Maybe head on over and, play some games at Punch Bowl Social or check it out. Go down and see our friends at Truck and Tap there at Feast, at the Taps at Feast. But definitely check out Terrapin Brewery Atlanta. Something new every time you go in. Make sure to tell them that the Beer Guy sent you.
Yeah, and guess what, people? It's still summer. I'm going to keep saying this as long as it's still summer. I think we got 40 some odd days left. Maybe we're not quite 50 anymore, but we still have a lot of it left. Over a month. And Truck and Tap is a great place to find some cold liquid refreshment on these hot summer days that are still totally here, not fall. I'm talking about beer and cocktails and even wine if you like wine chilled. This week I'm going over my picks for the most refreshing things on tap at your local Truck and Tap. At the OG Truck and Tap Woodstock, my pick is Anderson Valley's the Kimmy, the Yink, and the Holy Goza. It's both refreshing and a classic Anderson Valley beer. So a Goza with a really interesting, I forget the name of the dialect that names all
I forget as
Ballhorning
well.
or something like that. I don't know. I don't remember. Anyway, at the Duluth location, it's going to be New Realms Strawberry Blonde, which is a crisp golden ale fermented with strawberries. That sounds wonderful. Never had it, so definitely getting that. Mixing it up at Truck and Tap Alpharetta. That's right. I'm heading up to the Overproof Rum Bar to get a Leilani Volcano. It's a tiki drink with rum, coconut, pineapple, lime, and guava soda. And finally, at the Lawrenceville location, my pick is Firewater's Tropical Retreat. It's a kettle sour with pink prickly pear, pink guava, mango, papaya, and pineapple. It's like a low ABV tiki cocktail. So, and don't forget, there are always events happening at Truck and Tap, trivia nights, live music, even karaoke and cornhole. So if you're looking for something to do while you sip on a beverage or get a bite from the food truck that happens to be there, check out the events calendar at truckandtap.com. And thank you to Truck and Tap for your support.
Thank you very much. We greatly appreciate it. Well, Brian, more closures, man. Or I don't know if this is closed. I think Chapter 11 lets them stay operating. Is that right?
Yeah,
there's 7 and 11 there.
I think they call it Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. So I think it's
Okay.
like protect you from your creditors so you can figure out how you're going to deal with your debt, I think is
Gotcha.
the idea behind
Okay.
this.
But World of Beer has announced that they are filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. They said the reason is considerable distress in the restaurant industry. And this is something that this shocked me. So in the filings, WOB Holdings claims to have $50,000 or less in assets. That is insane. This is a chain here to have less than $50,000. I'll say I have considerably more assets than the entire world of beer at this time. So, and between $10 million and $50 million in liabilities owed to one or more creditors. So, it just sounds like there's just no way you can continue with that kind of thing, not under those. So, it's a bit confusing, but another document indicates that World of Beer assets are actually closer to 20 million, including cash, gear, and property. So maybe they're just talking about liquid assets there. And World of Beer currently has 34 locations, and they're a mixture of both directly owned joint ventures and some franchises. And they did note that the franchise locations are not part of the filing there. So, Brian, I've enjoyed World of Beer, and I think they were pretty popular in Florida. There are quite a few locations down there. Atlanta has never been a city that welcomed chains very well. Not a lot of them. There's a few of them, but we've had several brew pubs come through here. We had World of Beer that opened, I think, 2 locations in the Atlanta metro, and those didn't last. And, I went to the one down in Midtown. I went to both locations. They had one, I think, in Kennesaw, one in Midtown. They were nice, man. They keep a good beer list. The food is pretty good there. The people there were nice. As a matter of fact, I know at both locations, the people working at those World of Beers were people we knew from the beer scene in general. So just for some reason, man, they just don't click with Atlanta. They just don't fit here. And
we also had like a yard house chain that was coming through here.
Yard House is still here. I mean, they've got a place at the Battery.
Oh, in the Battery.
There's one at the Battery. There's one at Atlantic Station.
I think the Atlantic Station one closed. I don't think that's still
okay.
there. Yeah, I think that's what I'm thinking. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah.
I do remember you're right. The one at the Battery is still there. I forgot about that. I was thinking the one in town actually did wind up closing. I might be wrong. Maybe I retract my words.
Brian?
Who knows?
It's showing it's still open.
Okay.
Really? Okay. All right. Yeah. I must be getting that because wasn't World of Beer in Atlantic Station as well when it was here? Maybe I'm confusing.
No, World of Beer, they had a place in Midtown down kind of across the street from where the Gordon Beers used to be down there. If you remember that.
All right.
And
I know where that's at.
Yeah. Then they had one, I think it was on Chastain there in Marietta, Kennesaw-ish area.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember they had the big pretzel stand, and they had Randall's. They had a ton of Randall's.
They did do Randall's.
It's like the last place I've been that I could think of that actually had Randall's that you could just have any beer you want, Randall almost any way you want. I think was their gimmick. So
that puts a pretty solid timestamp on when World of Beer was popular there. But like when we went down to Tampa Bay Beer Week a couple of times, that was a popular location to go, to the World of Beer. And here in Atlanta, we've got our regional chain Taco Mac, which I think is a similar flavor or flair, I guess, to World of Beer, kind of. Wings and beer is the basic thing. And, I think people did that. Or your little neighborhood bars, man. We've got a lot of nice little independent joints around here. But it's always been hard for corporate places to get a foothold.
Yeah, I agree. I still, when I travel, if I see a World of Beer, I will stop by it, and I usually find they do have a decent. That's what I'm looking for, like a good selection of interesting beers. And I know that's one of the things I do like when I travel is I can count on them to have curated a pretty good list of things I'll enjoy. A good amount of the local stuff plus some interesting international stuff in case I don't see anything local that I'm interested in. So I like them. I miss them not being around if I'm traveling. So yeah.
You got a few places that are like there's, I think, more kind of west southwest area. Flying Saucer chain. Are you familiar with those?
I've been to it one time.
Flying Saucer. You got World of Beer. We've got Taco Mac that I think is primarily Georgia, but I think we're Carolina, Tennessee's, maybe Alabama. So kind of regional chain here. But there are places that if you don't know anything else in the area, you see one of those and you know what they're about. So if you're out, you're on a business trip, you're like, oh, they got a Flying Saucer. You can go there. Hey, they've got a World of Beer. I know what they've got to eat and drink there. So check it out.
Indeed.
or find someone local and find out where the real deal stuff is and check
Yeah.
that out.
If you're traveling, it always I usually pays to the first place you go. Like any craft beer place, you always ask the staff, all right, where are the good places to go for beer? I'll go to a brewery that I know is good, and I'm like, now, all right, now where should I go from here? And that's always, you get your best list of places to visit.
Well, and that's another good thing with the growth of the internet for all of its downfalls is I'm going to use the word friends. Some of them I've never met before, but I have friends or at least acquaintances in probably any major city across the country. So if I'm going somewhere, I can probably ask somebody for the personal thing. And if I don't know somebody there, then there's probably a forum dedicated to that city or specifically that city's beer scene. And you can go in there and ask. We've had on our Reddit ATL beer, we have people all the time. I'm going to be there in 2 weeks. I'm there this weekend. What do I want to do? I like these types of beers. And, the locals are always happy to tell you what their best stuff is. Even like our buddy Seth, and we joked about this. I've known Seth for probably 15 years, or we have. And we've been on different forums together. We've played video games, team play video games together. You've met Seth before, but this was my first time to meet him. But we've interacted so much, through video chats and things like that, that when I saw him, it wasn't like I was meeting somebody. It was just, I'm seeing a buddy I hadn't seen in a while, So
yeah, I
yeah,
didn't
it was
realize
fun.
when he came down, you had never actually met him. I
It's
saw him
weird.
again. It'd been a year. I met him the year prior when he drove through town finally in person. And I
Yeah.
was like, oh, hey, it's nice to see you again. I didn't think anything of it. Yeah, because it's been so long and we've
It
so much interaction. It was like we'd known each other forever. So
it
yeah.
did it feels like it should feel weird. I won't say it felt weird because
yeah.
it didn't. It just felt like I seen my old buddy I hadn't seen in a while. But when you think about it, it's like I've known this guy 15 years and this is the first time I'm meeting him. That sounds a little weird. It does.
sound weird.
So
Yeah, it does sound a little odd.
crazy stuff, man. Well, Brian, tax issues, beer taxes, big subject everywhere. But Oregon right now is a hot spot. What is going on with Oregon and beer taxes?
Yeah, I'm always, as a former Oregonian, I'm always keeping an eye on what's going over there. The utopia that is/was, Oregon. And so you remember when we were talking about Oregon trying to pass several massive tax increases on beer, like thousands of a percent tax
Yes.
on the beer. Yeah, so it looks like certain elements in the Oregon government may be making a third attempt at doing this. A quote task force on alcohol pricing and addiction services unquote will be submitting a proposal to the governor in 2 months. And it's chaired by Representative Tanya Sanchez. And this is the person behind the previous 1,200% and 3,000% tax increase proposals.
Wow.
Yeah, 3,000% tax increase. Sanchez claims that the previous two bills were never going to pass. They were intended to, quote, get the alcohol industry to come to the table and have a discussion, unquote, which kind of sounds like the things you say after a bill doesn't pass. I didn't mean for it to, pass. I just wanted to raise awareness. But
right.
Here's the thing. The Ninkasi's co-founder Jamie Floyd who is a 25-year member of the Oregon Brewers Guild, refutes the claim entirely, saying that they have never once been invited to a table to discuss anything before the tax increase proposal or after. They've never been contacted about this. So what she's saying sounds like it's complete BS. So best of luck to you, Oregon. I hope you're able to rein in this craziness because the Oregon Brewers Guild was saying that this would be, if they actually got this through, it would be just absolutely devastating to the beer industry in Oregon. It would just wreck it. Like I can't even imagine 3,000% tax increase, even 1,200%, which is on the lower end of that, is still madness. I can't even believe it.
It's stuff they do. Sin taxes are always something that we know people are going to drink. We know people are going to smoke, those kind of things. So they can throw those taxes on tobacco and alcohol and all of that. And like we've talked about before, another one is like travel related taxes,
Yes.
Looking at stuff like rental cars or hotels. Hey, you don't have a choice. If you fly into San Diego, California and you need a vehicle, you can't say, well, I'm not going to do that because every other rental place is also charging a 23% tax or what have you. Same thing with your hotel. And the reason that these get passed is because it's not the locals that have to pay those taxes. So they don't care. So, but you look at these alcohol taxes again, sin taxes, they'll just keep jacking them up. And because they know they can get away with it because people aren't going to fight too much other than the brewers, other than distillers and brewers and the people making the stuff, they're not going to fight it there. So
Yeah, and I guess the goal is to get people to drink less. But I was just thinking, like, if you make it painful enough, when you raise taxes at all, you are making it. You're definitely encouraging people not to do whatever. Because you may wind up with people that just quit drinking entirely, and that may be what they're hoping for. Because I keep hearing whispers about people that are like pro no drinking at all. It's been in the news. They're like they're definitely reevaluating how much is quote safe to drink and all that sort of thing. We've talked about it in the past, but any amount of additional pain financially you put on this, you are going to start pushing people out of that sector entirely, just because not everybody can afford it. Some people can only afford it as a luxury occasionally. 1,000%, 3,000% tax increase, you're pricing them out. They're out. They're not even doing it occasionally. If that was a luxury item, the people that are still problem drinkers are going to continue to drink. Just to say, addicts are going to do what they're addicted to, no matter how expensive it is. They may turn to a life of crime to support it, but they're still going to do it. The people for whom it is purely discretionary, they're going to leave. They're going to find something that doesn't cost as much. They're going to find some other hobby, or maybe the homebrew. Like you're not going to get any tax dollars off of that. No. Homebrewing may take off, and you won't get a cent. So yeah,
they'll figure it out. If it becomes something that seriously impacts their tax revenues, then that's going to be something that they definitely dig into more. So, Brian, I just got a news article, and I don't have enough to really dig into it. But I was going to ask, because we talked about the fonio grain before. Have you heard of Kernza?
Yeah, that sounds familiar. Is that the Patagonia thing?
So that's something Patagonia Provisions and Deschutes are getting together with this new Kernza perennial grain. And it's, they said it has low yields, but there's a lot of beneficial aspects to the actual growing of it, agriculturally and ecologically. So I don't have enough info to really speak on it in any depth right now, but I will say that we've been asked to have Deschutes and Patagonia join us on a show. So we'll work that out and we can learn more about it then. But I was just wondering, I know you dig into that kind of stuff and look up that kind of info. So I was just curious if you knew anything about it yet.
I know that Patagonia has some partnerships with a bunch of different breweries they've had. They announced it a while back. And I think there was some sort of a special beer that was involved as part of it. And I don't recall the details. I think they this week they actually had some sort of a special tin fish and beer.
So
that's passed already, but yeah.
Well, that's actually it's not. That's not coming up till August.
Oh, is it
the tin fish thing? Like August 15th is when they're doing that. So, and that's kind of cool. Again, crossing 15th. A couple of our favorite things there. It is Patagonia Provisions, which for those at Patagonia, yes, the company that makes your jackets and all this stuff and water bottles and that. They also do, tin seafood as well. And one of their offerings that they do is called white anchovies. And if you ever hear anchovies and you don't know anything about white anchovies, just know anchovies, then naturally the vision in your head is the little salty fillets that you see thrown on a slice of pizza and people scrunching their nose at. But white anchovies are actually anchovies that are processed more like the way they process sardines. They take the heads off, they clean the insides out, and then they're put in a tin with some olive oil. And like in the case of Patagonia, they have one, I believe it's lemon and olives in olive oil with their white anchovies, which is fantastic. But they partnered up with 11 different craft breweries across the country. It's Arizona Wilderness, Aslan Brewing, Bang Brewing Company, Hardywood Park Craft Brewery, Lawson's Finest, Odell, Talia Brewing Company, Telluride, Topa Topa, Troegs. I still have no idea how to say that. Troegs.
Yeah, I think so.
Troegs and Upslope. And they're going to do a pairing that's called Seafood and Suds. And they also have crackers. Patagonia does crackers. So you get like a beer, some of their crackers, and a tin of their white anchovies. And I'm down to clown with that, Brian. It's unfortunate that none of the breweries that they have are in our neck of the woods. Not in Atlanta, but there's not even one close to us. So I
I
think
wonder if there's a legal issue with that. Maybe they can't do it in Georgia just because of I don't know what it would take to bring in the food. It seems like if you went to a place like Goodword who already serves food, they could get the tinned
yeah,
fish and do an event. And I was thinking
we've got
immediately Goodword is the one I would say
yeah.
this is where this should happen. But
I mean,
yeah,
we've got so many breweries here doing food. I honestly, Brian, I don't think that would have been the impact. I don't think that. I mean, you look at it like Sweetwater, New Realm, a big
yeah,
place like
yeah.
that. They could have done, a collaboration with, but that's cool. Yeah, if there was one closer, I'd do that. Maybe I'll just do it on my own. Maybe I'll grab a tin of Patagonia white anchovies and a beer. We get some of those beers here, don't we? I know we get. Listen, we
We get
Hardywood Park.
Aslan.
I think that does Lawson's get distributed here?
We don't get Lawson's, I don't think.
I've had
No.
some Lawsons, but I wasn't sure if I got it,
Yeah.
from actually a lot of Upslope. Upslope, do we get them?
We did, I
Nate,
think.
do you
I
know?
don't know if
I
we
don't
still
Think we
do.
do.
I don't
Okay.
know if we still do. We had didn't we have them on the show? I know I had some of their beer here at a
So
certain
only
point in
like
time.
one or two of these breweries may come
Yeah.
into Georgia. We may be out of luck. We're gonna have to just venture out on our own.
We can
So
find Aslan though, or
yeah.
we could look at find out about what beers they're pairing and just find the local equivalents.
I'm just gonna get a Bud Light and a tin of Beach Cliffs. And
Oh,
I'm gonna call it the
jeez.
same thing.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
Beach Cliff that's the inexpensive grocery store brand that doesn't taste very good, right? I
I
don't remember if I've
tried
had
them
that one.
and I plan to never do that again.
Okay,
As
that's what
as
I thought.
as many times as I can, I will never do that again.
I don't think I've ever had them, but I knew I saw that you were talking
Yeah.
poorly about them. I'm like, I don't need to try those. I've got some other
Well,
fancier
there's
stuff.
so two that get the most grief are Beach Cliff and Chicken of the Sea. And they're
Yeah.
ones that people say these are terrible, they're awful, they made me gag. How does anybody eat this? But just as many people as you have saying that, you've got people chiming in to say, "Hey, for the price, these aren't bad. I'm totally fine with them. Throw a little hot sauce on there, I'm good to go." And they're fine with that. And then Walmart's got their what's the Walmart brand? Great Value or something like that. I don't think I've been to a Walmart in 4 or 5 years, so
It's
but
been a minute.
I think that's their store brand. So you got Great Value, Beach Cliff, and Chicken of the Sea are not known to be great 10 fishies.
I was gonna say, but on the other hand, I know that is it Kroger's mackerel that is like
The private
fantastic.
selection
Private
mackerel
se-
is really
yeah,
good. It's really good.
extremely good, inexpensive grocery store brand you can find anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want it to be known that we're not just poo pooing everything that you find at a grocery store. People like King Oscar as well. That's
King
found
Oscar's
it.
a popular
Yeah,
one. Yeah, I had a
those are
10 of those
popular.
earlier this week, Brian. 10
Yeah.
King Oscar Mediterranean style, had some, olives and herbs and stuff in there. I put a little green Tabasco hot sauce on it, grabbed a pack of Triscuits, and I went to town. It was a party.
That's
right over
fine.
here.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, Tim, since we were talking about since we've been talking about fish, it seems like a good time to
It's a good time to mute your office phone. They be calling. It's going to take him a while. We'll see what Nate. How are you doing down there? While Brian gets his act together.
I'm doing all right. You think a guy being with the show for as long as Brian has that he'd just know better than this.
I forgot to unplug that particular phone, and that's the one I always get the political calls on. And I don't know. I forgot. And they always call around this time. I never answer. They keep calling. But what I was going to say is we had a great lead into it with all the fish talk. I know Nate loves all the fishes. That gets him primed to talk about. You've got a recommendation, a cocktail recommendation you put in the run of show. I'd like to hear about it.
Yeah. So, something I've been making lately, the strawberries have been in season, or at least they're coming out of being in season. And so my local grocery store had strawberries on sale for super cheap. So I made a bunch of strawberry syrup where I just took equal weight strawberries, diced up with equal weight sugar, and let the sugar pull the moisture out of the strawberries, and then pull the solids out and keep the the really concentrated strawberry syrup. I've been doing something that I'm calling strawberry lemonade, but it's really just a strawberry Tim Collins. So I do 2 ounces gin, 1 ounce lemon juice, half an ounce of that strawberry syrup, I shake it over ice, strain into a highball glass with fresh ice, and I top it with club soda, give it a quick stir to incorporate. It is a danger refreshing cocktail. If I don't tell you that there's 2 ounces of spirit in there, you're not gonna taste that there's 2 ounces of spirit in there, and you'll be 3 or 4 deep, and you'll be like, "Oh my god, I can't walk." But it's really refreshing, and I even top it with a little extra syrup on top just to give it that extra strawberry burst of flavor in it, and it's really nice to have, especially in this
The
summer
heat,
heat that we're
the
having out
heat.
here. Yeah, it's
So
awful.
did you call it a Tim Collins?
It's a Tom Collins
Tom
is,
Collins. Okay.
yeah, was the inspiration. I
Who's
just
this
added
Tim?
strawberry syrup
Who's
instead
this
of
Tim
simple syrup.
Collins? Phil?
Yeah.
You know, that's Brian and I when we were homebrewing. We made this will take people back. Does it? Who remembers the sweet, sweet lemonade video that went around the internet? That was better than a decade ago,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess, at least. But we made hard lemonade, and man, all the names associated. So the actual recipe name is Skeeter Pea, and
Yes.
it's been passed on from generation to generation. But it's a really easy to make, really tasty hard lemonade, and we called ours Horse Pop because at the time we made it, that video was popular. So we made up a crazy little, a crazy little label to go with it and such. But I believe we did a strawberry variant, or we did some variants because we did
We
a few
did.
batches of it, right? But Nate, like you were saying, if you take a glass of that and chill it and pour it over ice, you're gonna think you're drinking lemonade, but this stuff clocks like 13%. So
Yeah.
it is, I mean, it's a bottle of wine.
It's a
Essentially.
legit wine. Yeah, for sure. And I know we did something involving some kind of fruit, and it was yeah,
I think I
look
still
at that
have a
horse.
case
That
of
horse
that.
was amazing. Yeah.
I think I still
I
have a case of that. I'm curious to see if it's holding up there.
I really want to try that, especially if you've got the fruited
I'll
variety.
look around. I'll look
Yeah.
around and see what I've got there. So I think I do still have some horse pop floating around somewhere, but that would be a good if I have more than a bottle, Nate, I'll get you a bottle so you can try
Alright.
you can try cocktailing it up there. So maybe take a sip out of the 750 ml bottle and pour a little Aperol in there and then just go to town.
Hey,
Just tear it
you know,
up.
we like that.
Yes. What you gonna call that one? What's that one called?
Oh, I don't know. So spaghetti is the other one. A
Spagat.
forget? A forget?
Forget the forget.
Forget, yeah.
Try
Because
the
when you're
forget.
done, you've forgotten
You
everything.
forget
It's
about it.
like,
Forget
who
about
am
it.
I? Where am I? What am I doing?
Good stuff. Well, guys, I do believe that about takes us to our time, and we appreciate everyone hanging out with us. You know, as always, y'all, if you like what we're doing, please tell a friend about us. Tell them to give us a listen. If you really enjoy what we're doing, we would love if you would support us on Patreon. We'll get you some cool swag out. We'll get you an invite to our Discord server to come hang out with us, chat with us, talk about beers and perfumes and tinned fish and school and swimming pools and whatever else suits your fancy. We've been talking about building bridges, this literally and figuratively this week on the chat. So no telling what's going to go on. But thanks a lot for hanging out with us. We hope that you have a great week. And don't forget to drink local. Cheers. Da-da-da.
I always wave at the end of that. I'm like, oh, we're
Dun.
still streaming.
Yeah.
Why am I waving? We're not
We
gone
are.
yet.
We
We'll
are.
soon be
But
gone, but we're not gone yet.
we are soon going to be gone. I was thinking we ought to just start making that our sign off. We kind of, do that rather than coming back just to say goodbye again. There's no point. There's no point, but we do
Here for a
now.
minute,
So
yeah.
y'all, thanks for hanging out with us. If you are one of our Patreon supporters, we're going to put the link in the Discord chat to come join us for the after party hangout and have a beer or two. But y'all have a good one. We'll see you next week.